Welcome to Beyond Just Money. My name is Santa, and with me I have the head of content of Kalkine Media, Nidhi Sinha, as our guest speaker. So today we will be discussing about the Australian federal budget. Welcome to Beyond Just Money, Nidhi.
Thank you for having me on the show, Samta.
Well, the federal budget primarily focused on creating jobs and bolstering economic growth after COVID-19. Now, at the same time, the recently announced budget aims to build Australia's economic resilience to cope up with future shocks. So, Nidhi, what are your views on the budgetary announcements?
Well, there is a lot of uncertainty owing to the ongoing pandemic, and to manage the ongoing uncertainty as well as to secure the nation's economic recovery, the government has unveiled targeted support for sectors hit hard by the pandemic. The budget basically aimed to help these sectors rebound to their pre-pandemic state.
So, which are the major announcements in this regard in the budget that you want to talk about today?
The tourism and aviation sector has of course been hit hard because of the pandemic. The government has unveiled a 1.2 billion Australian dollars package in the latest budget to support the aviation and tourism sectors to safeguard jobs, keep planes in the air, and encourage Aussies to explore their own backyard as well. The package includes 274.6 million Australian dollars in support for tour operators, zoos, aquariums, business events, and travel agents. This funding is expected to support businesses remain viable and become ready to welcome tourists as domestic travel activity rises and overseas travel restrictions are eased. The government has also extended the successful regional airline network support and domestic aviation network support programs until 30th September 2021 to basically help the aviation sector. The objective is to maintain an international airline capability and foster the sector's recovery from the pandemic. A new international aviation support payment of 200 million Australian dollars has also been announced to preserve an Australian overseas airline workforce and operational capability. It is anticipated to protect up to 8,000 jobs and allow international flights to resume as soon as the borders reopen. So the budget definitely gave a boost to the airline sector.
Nidhi, the entertainment sector was also one of the first sectors to bear the brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. So how does the budget help the creative industry?
Well, the Australian federal budget that was announced recently also delivers a support of about 300 billion Australian dollars for the creative and entertainment sector. The government's support is targeted to help activate and assist the successful reopening of the creative and cultural sector in the country. Besides, an additional 125 million Australian dollars has been allocated for grants to what is called the Restart Investment to Sustain and Expand Fund, which will provide essential seed funding for novel productions, events, and festivals, supporting about 230 projects. Further, the 50 million Australian dollars temporary interruption fund has been extended for an additional 6 months to offer certainty for productions to commence filming and secure financing as well.
Moving on, how are you looking at the announcements made for the education sector?
Well, as part of the 2020-21 federal budget, the government provided 903.5 million Australian dollars in support for people wanting to access higher education and for more places. The government has now decided to invest 26.1 million Australian dollars to provide an extra 5,000 Commonwealth supported short course places this year. The goal is basically to continue supporting non-university higher education providers to entice more domestic students. These additional places are expected to provide opportunities for students as well as job seekers seeking to reskill to bolster their employment prospects. Further, the government is extending a regulatory fee relief for overseas education providers until 31st December this year and has provided a total of 50,000 extra higher education short courses.
That's certainly some relief for the pandemic-hit sectors, Nidhi. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with our listeners today.
Thank you, Samta.
And to our listeners who want to listen to this insightful podcast again, please log on to our website, that is kalkinemedia.com. Or you could also log on to our YouTube channel. Do not forget to share, subscribe, and like. And please hit that bell icon for the notifications on latest videos and podcasts. Until we see you next with yet another insightful episode of Beyond Just Money, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine, your best guide.